Despite a tighter screening and quarantine process, Mr. Wong said most of Singapore's imported cases are migrant workers in the construction, marine and process sectors, as well as foreign domestic workers. They account for about 40% of imported cases over the past 6 months.
Arrivals at Changi Airport have increased to 1,200 a day in March from 820 last November.
But in order to reduce the number of infections from abroad, one option is to shut our borders, an approach taken by larger or resource-rich countries.
Mr. Wong said, though, that Singapore is in a completely different position.
We are a little red dot, fully plugged into the world, and trade and travel are our lifeblood. For us, these are not just good to have, they are existential issues. They are how, as a country, we earn a living and remain relevant to the world. In other words, we can keep our borders closed for a short time, but not over a prolonged duration. We put in place a system of regular testing for those working at the checkpoints and borders. We prioritize vaccination for them and those working in our stay-home notice facilities, the hotels. So vaccination rates are now above 90% for aviation and maritime, and 85% for the SHN facilities. We stepped up our testing protocols with pre-departure and on-arrival PCR tests. We tightened our SHN regime and ensured that the hotels we use for SHN have proper infection controls and security measures.
The increased inflow of workers from the CMP sectors is still unable to meet Singapore's needs to date, with Mr. Wong saying contractors will be hardest hit. Building projects will be delayed, and in particular, many new BTO projects will be pushed back by at least 1 year.
The manpower shortage will not be confined to the CMP sector. It will have a cascading effect on the whole economy. In fact, any company seeking to bring in workers from higher-risk countries will now face considerable delays. The waiting time for any entry approval could be more than 6 months. And our big concern is that if companies continue to face difficulties or are forced to close, we could then end up with higher unemployment and job losses for Singaporeans. Stresses will be felt in our society too. Singaporeans will find it harder to reunite with their families abroad, and families applying for new foreign domestic workers to care for their children or elderly will have to wait for at least 2 months.
Concluding his speech, Mr. Wong called on everyone to look out for each other, stressing that there's no place for discrimination and xenophobia.
Avoid spreading falsehoods or unverified information that can cause needless fear or foster divisions and suspicions in our society. Remember, the virus does not respect ethnicity or nationality. This is not a Chinese virus or an Indian variant. This is a global pandemic. The virus and its variants are out there everywhere in the world. So there is no place for discrimination, racism, or xenophobia here in Singapore. We must continue to stand together, look out for each other, so that we can all get through this together.